You're watching Good on Paper, a bookish channel. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Rachel.
Join us as we journey together into the land of fiction, where the men are brave, the quests are epic, and everything is better on paper.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, it's been a while, I feel like, since Rachel and I have caught up. And so today we wanted to talk about writing during the holidays because it is November. Well, for us, it's not November quite yet. We want to be transparent, but by the time this episode comes out, it will be November. So I'm sure you are already thinking about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and maybe you're excited. Maybe you're stressed, maybe you're a little bit of both because, as a writer, it can be really hard to balance writing and the holidays and family time. So we just wanted to kind of have an episode about balancing being a writer during the holidays and what you can do to help make this season more joyful, but also productive if you need it to be.
Yes, because we know that it's chaotic, especially with Thanksgiving and Christmas being like all smashed up together in the 2-month span and all the family things going on. It's a lot to try and get it all done, and it can be hard to figure out how to balance it all. So hopefully we have some tips to help you do that.
Yeah, and let's not forget New Year's. We can't forget. They throw in one more holiday at you. New Year's.
That's true. They do. I know. It's like, oh, we're going to make winter just the season of holidays.
Yeah, it's party time. I guess it's so cold. Like, what else are you going to do? There's nothing joyful because it's so cold.
That's true. That's so true. It's like, well, you can't really leave your houses that much and enjoy the outdoors, so we're going to create a whole bunch of stuff so no one gets depressed.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of smart.
It is. Yeah. It really is. But, if you're a writer, I think a lot of us, we're introverts and we like having that quiet time. So we really like when there's snow days and people aren't hitting us up to do all these social activities. We like to stay inside in bad weather and write and be left alone, and for other people that might not cut it because they want to, they get bored and they want to be out doing stuff. But I know I like winter because I like writing and reading, so I don't care if there's nothing happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I always think it's kind of nice not to have the pressure of being outside and doing things in the winter. Like, I feel like I'm allowed to stay inside and write versus in the summer and spring. I'm like, oh, well, I should be outside doing things.
Yeah.
Kind of a nice excuse to do my things outside.
Yeah, because in the summer, you're like, you don't want to waste it. It's a gorgeous day and you don't want to waste it. But in the winter, there is a lot less pressure about wasting the gorgeous day because normally there aren't any gorgeous days in winter. So
that's so true. Exactly.
Yeah. So my first tip for figuring out how you're going to survive the holidays is set a schedule for yourself. You should probably take into consideration your family schedule. Like, what does your family have going on? So what are the family events that you really can't miss, kind of a thing? And also for your writing, what are the things that you absolutely need to get done? And make sure like, are you going to take just Christmas Day and Thanksgiving off and write the other days? Are you going to take the week around Christmas off? Are you going to take the week around Thanksgiving off? And just knowing for yourself when you're going to work and when you're going to rest is really important. And when you're resting too, knowing how strict you want to be with your rest. I mean, if you say you're not going to write over Christmas, if you get inspired, are you allowed to write, or do you really want to take that time to rest and spend it with family and not take away from that time? So I think the first step is just really looking at your schedule and just making a plan of how you want to celebrate and rest and how you want to work. Because I think, if you're in a regular job, they decide that for you. But if you're a writer, you have to decide that for yourself. And you're your own boss. You have to be like, okay, this is your vacation time, this is your work time, and this is how it's going to be. And that, I think, can be so helpful.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I That's because I mentioned before I did the HB90 course with Sarah Cannon. And she talks so much about all that kind of stuff where you have the list of your day, like you have a weekly spread, and then it lists out each day and it gives you like half an hour segments. And first, you're supposed to write down all the things you have to do, like commitments you have, like you go to the gym every time that day, you have to get up and get ready, you have to shower, you have to make dinner, all those kinds of things. And you mark those off first. And then you create buffers for yourself where it's like, yeah, I could fill up every other span of time in that day, but likelihood is I'm going to end up using it for other stuff. So you create little buffers. And then whatever's left, you get to dedicate to work. So I think it's a wise way to prioritize the things that have to get done, giving yourself space, and then be like, okay, whatever's left can go for work. Because I have a tendency to overestimate how much time I have to work. And then I get in trouble later because I can't accomplish things on the schedule I thought I could. So, and then also, like you said, considering like what plans does your family have? Are you going into any holiday parties? Are coming to visit you? All that kind of stuff. It's a lot to try and figure out, but you're, like you said, it's best if you can figure that out in advance so that you're prepared and have a game plan instead of thinking you can do things you can't do.
Yes, I love that idea of the buffer because that's something I've been kind of doing. I'm not doing any HB90, but I really did take a look at my life and put the important things in because I do the same thing. I put a million things on my to-do list and I think I can do it, but it's like from 2 to 3, I'm doing this. From 3 to 4, I'm doing that. Like you need that, like you said, that buffer time because it's going to take you time to transition from a task. You might need to go to the bathroom and get a snack and take a break. Somebody might come home and be talking to you. I mean, so I think realizing, that you do need those buffer times is very smart because I just don't think of that. And then it gets to the end of the day and I didn't finish everything and I'm upset and I just didn't plan well is my problem. It's not that I didn't work hard enough or fast enough. I did not plan properly.
Yeah, same. I have the same problem where I don't think about like Christmas shopping because Christmas is coming up. Like you're going to need to take time for that. Or like you said, somebody walks in while you're making dinner and 30 minutes later you're finally sitting down to do what you were going to do 30 minutes ago. And it's like, where'd that 30 minutes go? So it's like giving yourself like 2 hours or something of buffer time every day so that it can kind of make up for whatever lost time you have during the day, I think is smart.
Yeah. No, I agree. I forgot about Christmas shopping. So thank you for reminding me. I'm going to make sure I remember to make time for that.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another point I wanted to bring up was November especially can be difficult for writers if you are participating in National Novel Writing Month, also known as NaNoWriMo. Rachel, I don't know, have you ever done NaNoWriMo before?
Yeah, that was actually what made me finish my first drafts of my Legends of Avalon books was doing NaNoWriMo. I think I did July, and that was what made me actually finish. That was actually the first book I ever finished was doing NaNoWriMo. So yeah, I love NaNoWriMo. I think it can be a lot of pressure, but I think it's great.
Yeah. I think the first time I did it was maybe 17, and I did it kind of on and off through my early adulthood, but I haven't done it in a while. So I don't know that because I used to like being involved with the groups, but now the groups don't really meet. They all just meet online, and I'm kind of like, I really want to prioritize like in-person things. So anything that's online in my city, I'm kind of like, I have so many friends from Instagram that I already talked to online. I don't want to have more online friends. I'd rather make friends, in person. So I guess I stopped being involved, because it used to be a fun way for me to meet other writers in my city, and now it's not so much anymore. But what I was going to say about NaNoWriMo is if you don't know what it is a month where people basically write a novel in a month, exactly what it sounds like. So the goal is 50,000 words, which is like the very smallest word count, I think, of a novel. I think anything shorter would not be a novel, but 50,000 words is what makes a novel. And so it breaks down to about 1,664 words per day, if I'm remembering correctly. It's somewhere in there. And that can be a lot. I mean, that you're writing fast, some people I know can do that in an hour, 2 25-minute sprints, but that's really, I mean, I don't know that anybody could do that every day. Some people might take them 2 hours to get that in every day. And it could be broken up, but it is a lot. It is very intense, but I know a lot of writers love to do that. So it is during November and Thanksgiving comes up. And so it's like, do you want to write on Thanksgiving and have people maybe be a little upset with you, family members, because you took time away? Or do you want to double up on some days? Really looking at your schedule and trying to figure out if you can double up some days so you can take Thanksgiving off, or if you want to set the boundary and tell your family, hey, this is important to me on Thanksgiving Day, and you can find a time. I mean, if Thanksgiving dinner is at 4 and you're going to church at 9, maybe sometime in there where you're not super involved in cooking, or maybe you could get up and write early before you go to church with your family. Just kind of looking at your day and figuring out when is a good time to do the writing that's not going to make everybody upset. Probably scheduling your writing time during Thanksgiving dinner is not a good idea. People might get mad at you for that. But
yeah,
that's something to keep in mind if you are doing NaNoWriMo, is trying to figure out, if you're taking Thanksgiving Day off, and if you're not, how are you going to manage it?
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I'm sure some people are more, they undershoot the amount they're going to need and end up using less of that time, or vice versa. I'm the kind of person who I think I will need less time than I do. So I've kind of learned that if I'm going to do NaNoWriMo, or even when I'm just planning out my writing for the month or like my schedule, instead of just being like, oh, I'll probably only need Thanksgiving Day, I'll plan to have the whole week off, because if I don't need the whole week off, great. I thought I could. But if I need the whole week off and I didn't plan for it, that sucks. That's always really hard, to end up taking off time you didn't plan to take. So I feel like it's easier to plan on taking it even if you don't think you'll need it, because then you'll be ahead of the game instead of behind, and being behind is never fun.
Yeah. No, that's a great strategy, because I mean, you could calculate the word count. So if you want to do traditional NaNoWriMo, 50,000 words, and you decide to take that whole week off, which is really smart, because, a lot of times we think, oh, Thanksgiving is the holiday, but the reality is family members are coming into town. Maybe they want to go apple picking or whatever, they want to spend time together, and there might be other events popping up around Thanksgiving that you didn't plan on.
Yeah.
And, it might cause tension if you say, oh no, I can't go, and you'll get really stressed out. And maybe you do want to go as well. I mean, it's not just about your family forcing you to go to things. I mean, you want to spend time with your family.
Yeah.
So I think taking that, you could block a week off like around Thanksgiving, and then you just calculate. So you took out a whole week. So that means it's not going to be 1,600 words. It's going to be, 2,000, 3,000. And during the early parts of November, that might be more doable, because, people are just kind of going to work, doing their thing. Weather's not very nice. Nobody's really doing a lot, I don't think, in early November. So that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And, then if you do get behind, because that's the other problem with NaNoWriMo that I have always found, is you will have days where you won't hit your word count. And having a buffer week, basically, like Rachel said, can be helpful, because then if you do have time, even though you plan to have that week off, but if you do have some extra time, maybe you can use that to catch up on the days that you fell behind. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
I think I've never stayed on schedule during NaNoWriMo, ever.
Yeah. And I also find that when I'm writing on a day where I ask myself to do it, like it's not on the schedule and I don't have to, I actually have an easier time doing it, because there's not the pressure of I have to get this many words in today. I have today off, but I think I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and see what I can get done. And it feels less stressful, because it's not something I check off and be like, oh, I did it today. It's actually a day off. So it's I think giving yourself a buffer is good for the burnout that will show up, because it's no pressure. It's if you sit down and write, you do, and if you don't, that's fine because you scheduled for it.
Yeah. And I think it puts you in a different mindset about your writing, because we've been talking about being clear about work and vacation and thinking of writing as work. But when you do write on a vacation day, it becomes, your brain kind of thinks, this isn't just work. I do this because it's fun and I like doing it. So when you decide you don't have to write on your vacation day, but you want to do it because you love writing, that can be really refreshing and resetting for your brain as a writer as well, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I totally agree, because it's a kind of job where you have to kind of sometimes do it when you don't want to, but you also have to kind of keep that passion burning, because if you don't have that, what's the point in doing it?
Yeah, I agree. Which brings me to my next point, which was, this is kind of the last tip I had, is, okay, so now you figured out your schedule, you know when you want to write, and you kind of have your vacation days built in. So now you get to the physicality of writing, is you're going to need a space to write. And maybe you're staying with family, maybe you don't have an office. How can you protect your writing space and time so that you have a good space that you can work in, that people kind of know not to bother you? Because you might not be at your house, you might be at grandma's house, you might be, who knows where you'll be. Maybe you're at a resort somewhere. Some people take family vacations together to a resort for the holidays. So how do you find a writing space for yourself where you can stick to your writing schedule there? So I really thought about this one a lot. I don't have all the answers, but I have a few ideas. I think I've talked about it before. I have a little whiteboard, which is actually still in storage, but I could probably get it out. I have a little whiteboard. I mean, it is really small. It's about that big. I got it from Target for $3. And I hung it up on my door with a command hook, and I would just write down my office hours. So if you know you're going to write from 2 to 3 one day, you just write, put the date at the top so everybody knows, and put on your office hours, and you can say, please do not disturb. So that way, if you are in grandma's guest room, or now, I don't know how you could hang up something on grandma's guest room, but command hook, like I said, might work. They're easy to put on, take off, or you could put it on the doorknob or something, or you could even just do a paper sign with painter's tape. Could work, because painter's tape is not going to damage anything. But you can put that on the door so people know this is your office hours and please don't come in. If you have the luxury of having a whole room to yourself during certain times of the day, which is not always ideal. In which case, my other idea was just, telling people in the house, like verbally telling people, sitting down, putting in your headphones, like if you're in a living room space, like try and go somewhere where you can't see people, maybe the kitchen, but turn so you're not facing the living room. You can put in headphones. Don't have to actually listen to anything, but because some people can't listen as they're writing, but just having like headphones on and making sure it's visible, I think, are another visual cue that you're in the zone. And people, I think our family, they mean well, but they might forget. You've told them that you're going to be writing from this time to this time, but they come in, they see you there, and they say, oh, do you want to get this for dinner? And they might forget not to bother you. But if you got your headphones in, that might be a cue to remind them that you're busy. So that's another thing you could do. Headphones are a great tool. You don't actually have to listen to anything. You could listen to like white noise or ambient noise to kind of block it out too. Can be helpful if you're working in a busy room.
Absolutely. I don't normally anymore have that big of an issue with people messing up my time. I think actually, because I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast or not, but I did end up getting a greenhouse to put on my porch, which has a little space heater and a little desk that I sit with my dogs in it. And it, we stay nice and warm in there. And so people don't generally bother me a lot out there because they have to come outside and talk to me, versus when I'm in the house in my office, it's a little bit different. So I haven't had a big issue with that lately. Like right now I'm staying with family, so I don't have an office, and the way the house is set up, there's not a lot of like private, everything is kind of visible and you can hear things from kind of every area you're in. And so I've been writing a lot in my bed, like either first thing in the morning or when I'm going to bed at night, because nobody bothers me when I'm in my room and it's quiet and there's no distractions. Another one is, I think all the moms understand this one, the bathroom. If nobody needs it or there's more than one bathroom in the house, if you happen to, be like, I'm going to go to the bathroom for a few minutes. And if you write on your phone at all, you can just get out your phone and like maybe you don't even need to go to the bathroom. You just sit in there for like 20, 30 minutes and write for a little bit to get a sprint in because nobody's going to bother you. There's no noise. You can turn on the fan. Another one also is if you can go sit it in a car, like if you're in a house with multiple people or something and it's really noisy, you can always go sit because nobody can bother you in there. But yeah, finding space to write when you're staying with people can be really challenging.
Yeah, I love that you're staying with family right now because you bring this stuff to the table that like you're currently dealing with, and like the bathroom in the car. Because I do that a lot, like not with writing, but when I get home and I'm not ready, I want to like do a couple things, like check my email or whatever before I go inside where I know I'm gonna get bombarded with people talking to me. I think a lot of people do this. I will sit in my car for like 10, sometimes 20 minutes. I'll sit in my car and just go through the things I want to go through. But I never thought of just going out to the car and sitting in there. That's really smart. And same with the bathroom, why not? Like sometimes you just need like 20 minutes of silence, no like people moving around in your viewpoint just to kind of clear your head.
Yeah, I used to when I was in college and I lived in a dorm room with two other girls. All of the common areas were loud and people were always in them. And I don't do well writing with other people around. I kind of need to be in my own space and have quiet. And so I would get sick of not being able to sit there and write. And so I would go sit in my car for like an hour or two just writing because I was like, I can't write with you guys in the room. So I'm going to go outside.
That's so smart. Yeah, because I mean, the car, if it's not too hot or too cold, and I mean, it could be too hot or too cold, and if you don't mind burning a little gas, that's, you can always turn on the air conditioning or the heat. But yeah, it is kind of like a little room that you can go to if you've got a car. That is definitely something to consider. Yeah. So now that we've discussed this, I'm really curious what your plans, like what do the holidays look like for you, Rachel? Have you started thinking about what you're going to do? How are you going to schedule out your writing and your rest time for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year?
Yeah, I'm definitely, and I think probably a lot of introverts are this way, but I'm a creature of habit and I don't love change. I like reliability and things being consistent. So it always drives me nuts when my schedule or my like functionality gets messed up. And for me, I'm going to be working at a tree farm. If you guys have followed me on Instagram, know that last year I worked at a tree farm during the Christmas season, and it's a 7-day-a-week job for 6 straight weeks from like the beginning of November through the middle of December. And the only day we get off is Thanksgiving Day, so it's a lot. But the one thing that's helpful is that my boss knows that I write, and they're actually, it's kind of complicated because where I live, they weren't doing overtime for agriculture, and now they're going back to doing overtime. And so my boss wants to keep our hours lower if he can. So for me, he's like, we want to keep you under 40 if we can. And I'm like, cool with me. Like I don't need more than 40 hours. So my mom also works there and we drive together. So she's going to be working longer than I am. So I'll have like 2 hours a day without her where I'm not working. So I'll probably go to one of the other offices and work for that like 2 hours. And then throughout the rest of the day, I figure whenever I'm not doing anything work related, I'll just put in my headphones. And like when I get home, I'll probably write. And then my brother and sister-in-law are going to come visit us for Christmas. And that's one of those things where I try to get in the morning or in the evening when I have family visiting, just because you can plan to do it during the day, but I find that it almost never works out the way I plan it to. So I try to get it done in the morning before once like up and going and ready to do stuff. So yeah, I don't know how well those plans will work out, but that's what I'm hoping to do this year.
Wow, that is a lot, like 7 days a week. And I mean, even though you're only going to be doing 40 hours, it's still a lot to like be committed. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure the hours are gonna be shorter,
Mhm.
but like you still have to be there every single day. Like you don't
Yeah.
get a home day. So and like you said, consistency. And I think working shorter hours and then just every day is the same schedule can be really, really nice for your brain, because it gets really used to
Yeah.
it. And because I find sometimes, on the
Mhm.
weekend, it's like I work so hard. And then on the weekend, on Sunday, I'm like, okay, you have a day off. It's like I don't really know what to do with myself. And sometimes I get
Yeah.
stressed because
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. I don't, it's just
Yeah.
so.
It's weird. Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like a great plan. I mean, you've got those 2 hours while your mom is still there that you can be working. Hopefully, you can squeeze in a little writing around your other tasks. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
doing morning and evenings before the household gets up and going is really, really smart.
Hmm.
Yeah, like that's really smart.
What are your plans?
So my plan, so for sure, I am actually going to be out of town from the 14th of December to the 30th. So like the last 2 weeks of December, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to Vermont with my dad, and then I'm spending Christmas with my dad as well. We're going to go back to Pennsylvania where he lives. So I'm going to be out of town for 2 weeks. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to schedule those 2 weeks off, which is not anything I've ever done before. But I think I'm going to do that because I think it will make me more productive the first 2 weeks of December.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, if I have the itch to write, or, there's nothing really to do, and I'm thinking, this might be a good time to write, I think that'll be really fun. And then Thanksgiving, I'm actually also going to be out of town for Thanksgiving for a week as well. So I think, again, I'm going to take that week off and then kind of plan around that. And I think it's helpful for me this first year of kind of trying this new system because in the past I've just been a work every day that I can kind of person. I think what's helpful for me is I'm actually going to be physically out of town for both of these times. So it'll help switch my brain to like, this is a vacation you can take off. So next year, if I'm still in town during Christmas and Thanksgiving, I really want to be in a place where I can just take a week off for Thanksgiving and take a few weeks off for Christmas and not stress about it and not be anxious about it and really be productive during the times that I have before that instead of procrastinating and working every day and being stressed. I feel like I just get into a cycle where because I schedule every single day to work, I don't actually get the focused work done. And things take longer because I have longer, So.
Yeah. No, I think that makes total sense because right now I just finished my second book that I was publishing in this trilogy, and it's coming out tomorrow. And I've been done with it for like a couple weeks now, and it's basically just been like last minute stuff, getting ready to post it. But I immediately was going to start on the next one and start revising that one and getting into it. And I did like 2 days of writing, and I was like, this is miserable. Like, this is so not fun, and I feel like everything I'm writing is terrible. And I was like, I think I need a break because I took a break when my brother and sister-in-law were visiting during the summer. I took like a week and a half off, and it was so lovely. And when I came back to it, I was so excited to do it, and it was coming so much easier for me. And I'm like, I think I need to take like a week off and like just let my brain kind of like rebuild all the creativity, and then in a week come back to it, and I'll probably be a lot more excited about it. So I think taking the breaks, especially when you have the holidays, because there's a lot of stuff going on, so you kind of have ways to entertain yourself during those breaks. I think that's so smart because it gives your brain a chance to kind of refuel that kind of creative energy so you can come back to work like ready to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not always about time, it's about energy. And maybe you have the time to write every day, but do you have the energy levels for that? So yeah, you're right. But wait, back up. Your book is coming out tomorrow. Did we know about this or is this going to be a surprise?
No, I mean, I think I only made one post about it coming out tomorrow. I haven't said anything else. I probably should post about it today, duh. But yeah, I've only posted once about the actual release date.
Okay, so I definitely did see it. It was probably just not enough to like make my brain remember.
Yeah.
that it was. And then
Yeah.
also, by the time you guys are listening to this episode, Rachel's book will be out. So Rachel, if you want to talk a little about your book, since it's going to be out by the time people are listening to it, like, why should they buy it right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited because it's the second in a trilogy that's semi-rapid release. It was supposed to be like a month apart each, and then it wasn't. So, but the third book is supposed to come out at the end of December. So I mean, it's fairly close together. So, but yeah, I'm really excited. If nobody knows anything about it, it's an urban fantasy trilogy that's kind of it's got a little bit of a rom-com vibe and the romance stuff, and like it's very snarky and it's fairly light, but it's got a little bit of mystery to it. It's very similar to K.M. Shea and like Sherry L. Tapscott, if anybody's read them. But yeah, and it's going to be the first of many trilogies set in the same world. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I got my proof copy in yesterday, the paperback, and I was like, it's happening.
Yay.
So.
Yeah, so yeah, go snag. It's Bondmate, right? Is the second one?
Yeah, Bondmate.
Yeah, so go snag Bondmate now, and also pick up Stalemate if you haven't read it. I haven't read Bondmate yet, but I did read Stalemate, and I will tell you that, first of all, I can't wait for Bondmate just because it's such a gripping series that really builds. Like, it's kind of like, if you're a movie person, it really felt like watching my favorite movie at the end. I mean, it was like watching like the climax of a Marvel movie. It was so good, so action-packed, but really led into character development. So I felt like it was very impactful on an emotional level during like this big climactic scene at the end. So I cannot wait to pick up the next book and follow along with the characters because they're fun. Like Rachel said, they're snarky. It's got a rom-com vibe, but some really cool like magic urban fantasy world building. So yeah, I cannot wait to read the second book. Like, this is like one of those series that you kind of want to binge. So I've been like dying to read it. But yeah, well, congratulations, Rachel. Because by the time this out, your book will be done and out there. So now you've got 2 of the series already out. So that's super exciting.
You know, I'm excited to publish one because it'll be the first time I finished a series, because my first series I haven't finished. So I'm like, I feel like it'll help me build readership trust. Like, oh, this girl finishes what she started. So I think that'll be a nice like milestone to hit to finish it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be your first completed series. That's really exciting. That's a really big achievement, like, to be proud of too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was harder than I thought it would be, but you know, it's been fun.
Yeah. All good things are.
Yeah. That's true. That's so true. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that's pretty much all we had for you guys this week. We hope that this episode has been helpful to you in thinking about how you want to go about writing during the holidays. We are wishing you all the best. Feel free to reach out, you know, if you're struggling or you just need some support to get through the busyness of the next couple seasons. And we will be keeping you updated. I'm sure we'll have a check-in after the dust has settled sometime in the new year. And we'll let you know how our schedules actually went, because there's a difference between like planning how you're going to do things and what actually happens. So we will keep you updated on that one.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting episode.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it, and tune in next week for another episode. And if you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a review so that other people can find us, and we will see you in the future. Bye.